Hey guys, TommyBryson here, and let's break the ice, okay? I grew up in a household where if I didn't finish my food, my grandma told me, hey Tommy, the neighbors, they're starving. They're not eating, okay? You should appreciate this plate of food we have here for you, which was usually rice and chicken and beans. And whenever I went to my neighbor and I asked him, hey, are you starving? He'd be like, Tommy, they tell me the same exact story. Like, you're not alone, okay? And we also bought clothes that were much bigger so they could fit me next year and the year after that. Meaning, I grew up in a very cheap household. Now, I want to tell you something, guys, okay? Cheapness, overconsumption, or being frugal is not an income thing. You can make millions of dollars and not spend anything because you have a problem with your mindset. You can make very little money and spend absolutely everything you have because you have an overconsumption problem. And you can make very little but be frugal and basically be able to build wealth over time and still live a very good lifestyle. Now, there are three types of mindset. First, you have a scarcity mindset. You have a mindful mindset and you have a mindless mindset. And the goal is, guys, usually people live on one of these two extremes down the left or down the right. You're either way too cheap or you way to spend too much money, and usually you get a little guilty about it because somebody's not eating out there and you're like, I gotta save my money, I gotta get myself together, and then you go right into this extreme. You're like, I'm gonna save for 3 months. 2 months, 2 weeks, 1 week, and then you're like, I deserve a vacation, I deserve a break, and then you spend all the money. I did that the first time. I saved my first $10,000 and then all of a sudden I spent all the money because I was like, I deserve something, okay? I just saved this money. I deserve something, and I went right back to that extreme. So the goal is to land you not in an extreme, but to put you in a balanced lifestyle where you actually enjoy life like a normal person. And you're not worried about, I'm broke, or I can't spend any money, because that's not a good way to live life whatsoever. Now guys, do me a favor and smash the like button. It helps out with the channel. And on top of that, if you are new here, I post videos every single day on money and passive income and investing. And you want to subscribe to the channel and hit the I sound like a monkey, and hit the notification bell so you get notified when I post a video every single day. Now, here's the first thing, guys, okay? The first mindset is a cheap mindset. And this mindset comes from a scarcity pattern. And you might say, Tommy, I hate people that are so cheap. I don't hate them, because I understand where that mindset comes from. I was raised by a grandmother that was literally raised next to a river where her house was just basically like some metal shed type of thing. The flooring was just dirt and the roof was just leaves. So I know why she thinks the way she thinks. I know why she thinks that there's not going to be enough stuff tomorrow. I know why she thinks things are going to run out. So that mindset is, in a way, it makes sense why people think the way they think. That's right. But whenever you live in that extreme, I'll tell you something, it is very hard to break it. That's why you can have someone that make thousands of dollars a month and then they still won't spend $1 on Starbucks because they're saying, I can't do it, Tommy. If I spend this money, what if I don't have money tomorrow? What if something happens? They never really get to enjoy life. So obviously, you don't want to live on this extreme. Now, let me tell you guys 2 stories here. I heard about this guy, crazy story. He had a few $100,000 in his investment account. He had a good job as an accountant, and he was married. I think he's still married, actually. And he had his whole anniversary with his wife, and he was preparing the entire party for her. Can you guess what he did? This is how cheap he is. He went to a store, and he got decorations for a birthday, although it was an anniversary, because he said, well, it's the same exact thing, I'm just gonna save money. And then I know about this other lady that whenever her husband or her kids are home, she says, hey, when you go to the bathroom, only use 2 pages of toilet paper, and she counts them and lays them out. Because that's how cheap she is, okay? That's not the lifestyle I want to live. Now, let me tell you what the big drawback actually is here, because if you have this mindset, you are probably turning in your grave right now or on your chair. You're saying, Tommy, you don't understand. This mindset has gotten me where I am today. The idea is a lot of the times this mindset holds you back because a scarcity mindset altogether says there's not enough, I can't spend enough, and the only way to really save money in some way is to basically cut down my bills. But you see, bills and saving money this way has a limit. There is a limit on how much you can actually save, but there is no limit on how much you can actually earn. So you have to find a balance where you say, hey, I get that scarcity mindset, Grandma, when we when we used to live in the jungle, but we live in the city now. We have rental income. We have jobs. We don't have to go through all that stuff again, but that mindset can still be there. So you have to kind of like softly get out of it. I'll talk more about that later. And usually you'll hear words from these people saying, I just don't know. It's too much money. I can't spend that money. Something might happen. You have to prepare for the worst. You hear these words come out of these people and then never spend money on anything. That's not a good sign. Now, let me tell you about the second mindset that you also don't want to have, because this is the other side of the extreme. And you might be here. And it's the mindless mindset. And a lot of times it's mindless, and these people usually have a mind your business type of attitude. Don't worry about what I spend. It's my money. I do what I want. And you might hear words come out of their mouth like saying, I like to enjoy life. I only get one life. There's no tomorrow. There's only today. YOLO. And there's always, I can afford this. I can pay for this. You hear these words being kind of like just like thrown out there. I want to have a high quality of life. I want to enjoy my life. These are words usually that come out of a high consumption person. Now, let me tell you here what the big problem is with these people. And you might be one of these. And by the way, I've been all three. I've had all these problems. I have a problem, okay? I'm not one of the extremes anymore. I live a very good lifestyle now, but before I had them. So I understand them, okay? And here's the big problem with this mindset is that it doesn't stop. And it's not like you can just go paycheck to paycheck. It usually gets beyond that. Let me explain. So usually these people, they tend to overconsume, right? So whatever they want is kind of like instant gratification. I want this, I get it. I don't really look at my bank account. All I know is that by the end of the week, I won't have any money and I'm waiting for a paycheck. It's kind of like that type of mindset, but it doesn't end there, because usually they'll level up, because a lot of these times these people usually have a decent income. Or they might not have a good income. That's the thing. It's not an income thing. That's the scary part. I'll give you an example in a second, okay? But these people usually get into debt to increase their quality of life. So I want to have this car. And the more money they make, usually the more money they spend. There's no cap. So if I make 1,000, I spend 1,000. If I make 4,000, I spend 4,000. And some of these folks, they make 4,000, they spend 4,500. And it's just more debt and more debt and more debt. Bigger house, nicer car, nicer wife, nicer trophies, whatever it is, okay? All the money is usually spent. This overconsumption lifestyle is one of the worst. You know why? Because it can scar you down to a level where you figure out you got a problem because you're in so much debt, and to fix it, you have to basically pay down all that debt, which takes a lot of sacrifice, and it will scar you to that it'll send you right back down to the cheap lifestyle, because you'll be scared to spend any money whatsoever to go back into that overconsumption lifestyle. That's not where you want to be, okay? Now, here's the example I told you I was going to tell you. I know people, for example, that they make good money and all the money is spent. I know people that the minute they get a raise, they go and they get a bigger house, so a nicer mortgage. They go on and get more vacations. They get fancier clothes. Their lifestyle increases with their level of income. So it's never like, I live here, I'm getting paid this, so I save this. No, it's always like, I live here, I get paid this. If I get paid this, I spend this. Lifestyle always goes up with income. It never ends. So whenever they get here and they have a lot of debt, and if their paycheck goes away here, usually goes down, is a disaster. And these people are usually scarred to the point where you hear words like, I made mistakes before, I don't want to end up there, so I just don't spend any money. And that's not where you want to end up. Now, let me tell you about the mindful mindset. And this mindset is the one you want to have, because it's very balanced, but it takes time to actually get here. Because you have to be purposeful. Because nobody gets rich by accident unless you play the lottery. But even then, you were purposeful because you played the lottery. The odds are not in your favor, by the way, so don't do it. But overall, there is one overall thing you got to understand, and that's basically that you are a human being. So you do have needs things you actually need like shelter, utilities, groceries, and transportation. And then there are things you want, like whether you want Netflix, whether you want a vacation, whether you want a car, whatever you want, right? We all have wants. It doesn't take it away from you. But the big difference between these people and the overconsumption people is that basically they understand that they can't always give in to instant gratification. So you might hear things like, I can't afford that right now, I'll save up for it. And then a few months later, you see them with the car they want, or the dress they want, or the purse they want. You see this all the time. And by the way, in the overconsumption example, I know people, for example, that again, it's not an income thing. People that live in the hood, and you see this guy that makes 15 bucks an hour, and he has, for example, a 20-hour belt on him that's Gucci because he paid $300 for it. I see ladies that are basically like always on a fashion walk, and they have like the Louis Vuitton, which is usually from the Africans. Just gotta say it. They tend to sell the good stuff. And by the way, I bought fake stuff before because I told you guys, I've been here. I've been here before. It's not a good feeling at all. But they usually overconsume everything. It's not a good thing. But the people that live on the frugal side, these people tend to always say, hey, I'm going to have this lifestyle here, and whatever money I make beyond that, I'll keep my lifestyle and I'll use the extra money to invest it, to buy my home, to not have any debt, and to not have to rely on my job. It's a very different type of mindset. So in action, how do you get to being frugal and saying, hey, I want to go to Starbucks today, or I want to buy this, or I want to buy that, and you don't want to feel guilty about it? Because the guilt usually comes from you buying something you know you can't afford to buy. But whenever I buy something and I know I can afford it, I never feel guilty about it. That's the very good thing. So the first thing is you need to have a budget, and your budget needs to have priorities. Okay, so you have, for example, hey, what are your priorities? Shelter, utilities, groceries, and transportation. But you also need to understand that there are very big, expensive parts of this. I know people that they spend more than half their income on rent. People that basically have a bunch of utilities they don't basically need. I need cable, I need this, you don't need it, okay? And people that spend $500 on food because they eat out so much. And people that say, I need transportation, I need safety, so they buy this very expensive car. So you have to understand, even within those needs, what the needs actually are. Don't spend more than a third of your income on rent or a mortgage. That's usually the rule of thumb. When it comes to utility, understand that's water, gas, internet, and electricity. That's about it. Anything else, not really a need, and usually like healthcare. And then when it comes to food, no more than 200 to 300 bucks per person. That's about it. You cook at home, and that way you're solid. And then when it comes to transportation, you buy a used vehicle. And this basically means it's guaranteed you to say, hey, I'm not going to spend more than 70% of my income on my needs. This way, with the extra money you have left over, you say, I'm going to invest 20% of that. And I might save some money to buy a home or to pay down my mortgage. And then I'm always going to grab 5% of that money to actually go ahead and have fun. So it's not like you don't have fun, but it's more like you have an account to say this account is going to be for guilt-free spending. Now I'll tell you the way I make this happen, okay? Whenever I get paid, I have a full video on this, go watch it. I'll put the link down below. But the idea is whenever I get paid, I break down my income in 6 ways. So you have, for example, emergencies. So you want to build up 3 to 6 months of emergencies. You have also investments because you got to think about the future. You have also your debt payments because if you have debt, you got to get rid of that. If you have expenses, you do. We all do. So that goes in there too. You also have fun and you also have charity. So these are 6 places whenever I get paid, I send my money. If I take you to my kitchen, you'll see Starbucks there. You'll see some stuff that aren't really needs, but I kind of just want. But I know for a fact that I'm not spending more than I make, and not by a large margin. And you can't justify it and tell me I spend $1,000, I make $1,000, I spend $999, so I don't spend more than I make. No, you can't do that. Try to keep your expenses below 70 to 80% max, and then always have more money to go ahead and invest. But this way, you don't feel guilty about spending money. And one last tip I can give you guys is this, okay? If you want to go on vacation, if you want to buy a new iPhone every year, be purposeful. We know when the iPhone is coming out every year. It comes out in September, I think, or October. So you know it's gonna be like $1,000. What's $1,000? Just grab your phone and say, let's break this down so I can basically save up for it. Okay. So if I take $1,000 for a phone, I divide it by 52. I say, hey, I need to save up $20 a week, and by the time that iPhone comes out, I got $1,000 to buy my iPhone. If I want to go on a vacation and it's like $2,000, again, divided by 52. By the way, if you get paid, obviously bi-weekly, divided by I think it's 20. What's half of 52? I'm losing it. 26, right? Yeah, 26. Divided by 26, so that way you know exactly what it is when you get paid. But overall, it's like $40. So you put $40 on the side, so when your vacation comes by, you can go on vacation. The worst thing, this has happened to me. I've gone on vacation, I spent a bunch of money, and I come back home, and I can't even enjoy the thoughts of my vacation because I know I couldn't afford it. And that's not a feeling you want. I know what it's like to buy something and be like, this just made me poorer. I know what it's like to wear something cool and be like, I'm basically just like messing myself up. You know what I mean? So you don't want that feeling. It's more like you don't want to be cheap because that's not a good lifestyle because you basically don't spend any money. You don't enjoy anything. And you think like the only way to save money is to basically don't spend money and you don't think about growth and investments. And you don't want to be, for example, to overconsumption because basically you never build anything in life. You want to be frugal. You want to spend less than you make. You want to have priorities, investing, having no debts, having your emergency account. And then you want to be able to basically spend money on things you want, but without feeling guilty about it. So setting aside 5% really does make a difference. And by the way, just so I can talk for my grandma now, my grandma isn't like this these days, okay? By the way, my grandma's so smart, yo. She has a business. Well, she had a business. She has rental income comes in. She spends money on whatever food she wants to spend, but she still has that frugal in her, okay? She's very frugal. But the mindset has changed a lot. And today, I don't buy clothes that are over my size, although it might seem like I do. But it's just a style these days, okay? I'll see you guys next time, though. Comment down below and let me know, honestly, did this video help you in any way? Did you learn something? If you did learn something, let me know in the comments down below. And let me know, what's the most expensive thing you ever bought? And answer that question so I know you made it all the way to the end of the video and I know you're a real person. But what's the most expensive thing you ever bought and you knew you shouldn't have bought it? And I'll answer this, okay? I bought a $5,000 computer. And the way I justified it, by the way, a lot of us that usually are on the overconsumption scale, people tend to justify things like crazy. I bought it because I thought I needed it for my work. I did not need it at all. I just wanted it. I know people that buy purses for $1,000. I just needed quality, Tommy. If you're going to put like my money in somewhere, it better be nice. And you don't even got $1,000 in your pocket. You know what I mean? So I get it. Justifying things is a real thing. But comment down below, let me know. And let me know, what is your goal also for the end of 2022? How much money do you want to have saved up? Let me know. I'll keep you accountable for it. As always, long-term team officially out. Thanks for watching. Follow me on Instagram at TommyBryson. Up here is another video, and here is my face. Click it and subscribe to the channel. Peace.